I am going to tell you what happened and also give a couple of bonus stories of how clueless people can be. So yesterday, my coworker and I were in our office at our museum setting up a mini exhibit of clothing, shoes, hats, and handbags to complement a modern house tour that the museum is offering this month. And as we're setting up the exhibit, a lady comes in and takes an interest in what we're doing, so we're letting her look around because, again, we're in an office, it's a public space, it's a mini exhibit, so it's not as intense as the bigger one that we just took down. And so she's looking around and she takes a special interest in the shoes. You can see where this is going. So while my coworker and I are setting up some headstands to put hats on, she starts asking what shoes, what brand they are and what size they are. She thinks they're so cute, and we're politely answering her questions, but also still trying to focus on what we're doing. I don't know everything about the shoes yet because we just picked them out, and we're setting them up at one point I'm taking the inserts out of the shoes and I hear my coworker gasp and she goes, "Please don't try those on." And I just whip my head around, and this woman has taken a pair of shoes that we've set up for the exhibit off the shelf and has her foot like fully in this shoe, and I'm just in total shock. Like, I've never seen this happen. And my colleague handled the situation, but her first response was not, "OMG, I'm so sorry." It was actually, "Oh, but it's my size." And she was thrilled that this shoe fit her perfectly. And my coworker's like, "Take that off." So she took it off, and I think she said something else. I didn't really catch it. I was just like, so she kind of just leaves the office and continues on her merry way. So that's basically what happened yesterday. So based off of the comments in my previous video, you would think that it's common sense not to touch museum items. But when I gave tours of the evening gown exhibit, I would start my tour off by saying, you can take as many pictures as you want, just please don't touch. And more often than not, when I say that, people are like kind of offended. They're like, "Of course, yeah, I'm not going to touch, it's a museum." But if I don't say it or I didn't say it, I still have images in my head, and it didn't happen often, thank God, but I have images burned into my brain of like one lady running her hand down a Fortuny gown. And it's so uncomfortable to have to stop a tour and reprimand one. I've done it, but it's so uncomfortable to stop a tour and reprimand one person. And I literally don't know what runs through people's heads because it is a museum. It might not have glass or sensors like a bigger institution. We are a small historical society with a large collection, and we're just trying to show the public, and clearly that this person or that person doesn't know what they're doing is wrong, or they just don't care. So if you have to say something, it's just uncomfortable for everybody. But clearly people need to be told, and our wall signs and stanchions aren't enough. The other instance I think about is about a year and a half ago, connected with the wedding exhibit, and I was not present for this. My colleagues had to inform me afterwards, but we basically had a guest and her daughter come to the museum. They saw us on TikTok, which is great, but I didn't say anything online afterwards because we took preventative measures, and I'm not here to point fingers, but this will now be used as a learning experience. So basically, these people came to the exhibit, and after they were done, they let themselves into the storage area that we keep the garments in to show themselves around. And I don't know how this happened, because you would think it's common sense not to go behind the scenes at a museum. But to my knowledge, I think our intern, who had been told multiple times not to, didn't close the door. So she'd been told multiple times, "Please close the door behind you when you go in," and she had left it open, and so the boxes of garments were clearly visible, and the going back there without permission is just incredibly dangerous to the clothing and also people who just don't know. Some of the garments are made with toxic materials and chemicals that you're not aware of, and if you're touching and tearing them, that's not good. And also a security risk to our staff, like to have people just like wander in off the street, like in places that they shouldn't be. So yeah, they ran into our intern, and she was confused, but she was like, "Oh, they must know Charlotte or something." And they asked like, "Oh, are you so-and-so?" Like they named somebody off of my TikTok, and she was like, "No," but she was working, so she like didn't really engage. She was trying to get stuff done. So then they kind of like left. So yeah, that was just so frustrating to hear about, and I'm just like amazed that it happened in the first place. But yeah, my TikToks give people a window into what I do, and I think that's great, but please don't use them or mistake them as an invitation to impose on the work that we do. Just because I'm making educational content accessible for everybody to see does not give people free reign to kind of wander around and do with the garments what they will. It's no free reign. We're still an institution. So I love working there and showing my work off online. I'm educating people, but I think people also forget that it's not a thrift store, it's a working educational institution. So yeah, I'm just like baffled, and this is my friendly reminder that if you're going to a museum, please don't touch the items. The museum has been trusted with the care of things for future generations, and if you're going to museums and using it as a touch tank, the items are going to deteriorate. Somebody did comment that they went to a museum and they were able to touch all the stuff, and you know, that's great. Like, the museum invited you to, that was clearly like marked. So yeah, if you're not certain, just ask and you will be told, like, you know, what is the proper etiquette. And yeah, I just hope that this is a learning opportunity for everybody.